Hey, what's up, guys? I know I've made a video in a long time, but I figured today I had a pretty good opportunity, so decided to make one. And no, sadly, I'm sorry, but it's not going to be a tank update video. Even though one is much deserved, a lot has changed. I actually got a new tank, but hopefully one will be coming out soon. I don't mean to leave you guys hanging like that. But so today I went to my Norco Industrial, I don't know what you guys call it, but and got a new CO2 tank because my other one ran out actually a long time ago. And so I figured I would take this opportunity to make a video on how to show you guys, how to set one of these up, because when I got this system, I was really confused. Even though it seems like it's pretty simple, I didn't really know how to set it up. So I figured I'd help you guys out a little bit. Okay, so first of all, what you're going to need is one of the most important things, obviously, is your CO2 canister. You may see some that use paintballs or paintball canisters, but this one uses the 5-pound cylinder. You're going to need some form of crescent wrench, and I think it needs to be bigger than I think it needs to be able to adjust bigger than an inch. You're going to need like a one-way. I forget what these are called. You're just going to need one of the, like, what are these called? I forget. Oh well. But you're just going to need one of these that it only allows air or water to go one way. You're going to need a bubble counter. And about this, I already filled mine up because it's a pain to take the top on and off. But you're going to want to fill it up about anywhere between 1/3 and 2/3 full, so you can fill it up, I guess, halfway if you want. And then you're just going to need airline tubing. And I recommend silicone airline tubing because it doesn't oxidize and get all stiff as fast. So the first thing I do is I take my bubble counter and just set it up here just so it doesn't get in the way. Set that up there. And then I take my regulator. Oh yeah, and the important thing about the regulator here, I'll show you guys these parts first. So this doesn't really, this thing comes off, it doesn't really function. Here's the overall pressure in the pressure gauge for like the pressure in your tank, and then I don't really even know what this is even for. Mine's broken, it doesn't really serve any purpose anyway, it works without it. This is a solenoid that I can hook up to a timer to synchronize it with my light, because plants only photosynthesize during the day and they only need CO2 during the day, so they get the whole day and night cycle going on. This is the nozzle where you connect your airline tubing, and there's like a little bolt. And then this is your actual, this is how you adjust how much CO2 goes into the tank and how much doesn't, or you get what I'm saying. And then the important thing before you hook it up to the tank is you need to make sure that these come with little plastic O-rings, and they're made to seal the hole. So you're actually going to want to make sure, that's like one of the most important things you can have in here, because it prevents extra CO2 from leaking out. Just basically keeps an airtight seal. So you're just going to want to take this, mount it on like so. With that O-ring, it might be hard to twist, because this is supposed to twist freely, but without that O-ring, it might be a little difficult. So make sure I get it on straight. Sorry, this might take a little while. You guys can go to another tab if you want while I do this. I think this is on straight. I might have to take it off. I don't think I threaded it on straight. Sorry, like I said, you guys can open up a tab. Go check out the news or something. I heard that Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez broke up, so you can read up on that while I'm doing this. Just a side note, you want to make sure you get this pretty tight. If you're actually watching the video right now, the crescent wrench I'm using works perfectly because you can adjust it. I think it's actually a pipe wrench, but you want to make sure that you're not. This brass is really malleable, so you want to make sure that you're not stripping the edges off this this bolt, because then in the future when you want to take it off or put it back on, your wrench isn't going to want to grip onto anything. So just for future reference, make sure you're not going beast mode on it. And then if it is starting to leak a little bit, you can always just go back and adjust it accordingly. And then adjust your gauges, because they may have swapped a little bit, just so you can read them. Okay, so then you just want to put this wherever you're going to put it. And then this is important. So when you take this little nut off to attach it onto the nozzle, you want to make sure that you keep this off, and then you want to cut a longer piece of not CO2 tubing. You want to thread the nut on this way, like so. Go on there. You have to jimmy with it a little bit. Yeah, there you go. So you want to put it down just maybe like an inch or two, and then you can attach it onto the nozzle. And then to make it leak proof, you're going to want to re-screw this nut back on there. It just creates like a little seal under the... Make sure that's nice and tight, but not too tight so you can get it off in the future. Okay. Now you're really going to want to put this in its final resting spot. Preferably pretty close to an outlet or your timer. And then you're going to want to take this long piece of tubing you have, and you're going to want to find, so on this bubble counter, I don't know how your guys' is, but you're going to want to connect the hose that goes directly from your tank into whatever direction this works. So whatever direction your bubble counter works. So mine goes, this is connected to basically like a little straw that dips down into the water, and then it bubbles through the water, and that's how you count your bubbles. And then this one it gets pushed out through into your diffuser. So just make sure you're attaching it to the correct part. I want to make sure this is pretty tight. Now, so that looks good. So now you take a shorter piece of tubing, and then you're going to want to attach that onto the other nozzle of your bubble counter, because that's the exit valve. And then you want to make sure that sticks on the first time. And then you want to put this on according to the arrows. You don't want to put it on backwards, because then the CO2 won't be able to get out of this little... Oh, it's a check valve. That's what it's called. You won't be able to get to the check valve. So put it on according to the arrows. So the arrows come that way, so we're good. And then, so this is how my diffuser works. There's an airline tubing there's airline that goes into this little canister in the tank, and that pumps. That's where the CO2 goes into this little canister. And then the second half of this little diffuser is just basically a power head. So it sucks water, and then it kind of creates like a little CO2 tornado almost in there. And so it basically diffuses all the CO2 into the water, because it's being agitated and it's being actually like physically put into the water. So then you want to take that, or however, you basically just plug in your diffuser in right now, according on what kind of diffuser you have. And then your system should be good. And then you can cut. Obviously, I'm going to have to cut and rearrange this, just to fit it accordingly so it doesn't look stupid, or move your bubble counter lower or whatever. And then, if you have the same 5-pound cylinder as I do, look at the little valve, twist to open, and your gauges should start reading the pressure. Should be somewhere about 50 psi, I think. And then, no bubbles are coming out. So what you're going to want to do is go down to that little valve that I showed you that adjusts how much bubbles come out, how many bubbles come out. Look at your bubble counter, and you should start seeing bubbles coming through. Oh, right. I need to plug mine in. So, like I was saying earlier, plants only photosynthesize during the day, and that's the only time they really need CO2. So, if you have a power strip like mine, that makes it great, because this whole power strip is run on one timer. Or if you have a separate timer, just try to synchronize as close as you can as your light. And then, so that little magnet was a solenoid actually opening up. And so now when I twist this thing, bubbles are coming out like crazy. So you want to adjust it just so you're getting not that much. See, this may involve some timing, but the unit that they use to measure bubbles is bubbles per second. And I try to get mine at about 1 or 2, so like 1.5, maybe even 2. So right now it looks like I'm getting 1, 2, just about 2 bubbles a second right there. And as you can see, it starts to bubble into that diffuser, and then the water blows it around and dissolves it into the water, and then blows the carbonated water into the tank. So yeah, that's basically how you set up this semi-automatic 5-pound CO2 system. Hope this helped you guys, because I know it would have helped me, but I couldn't find any videos on it. And as you can see, I rearranged my tank, and I'm not quite sure if I had these fish in the last update, but hopefully within the next week or so, I know I've lied about this in the past, but hopefully in the next week or so I'll be making a new update. And then I have another tank to show you guys too. So yeah, you guys are well deserving of a new update. So yeah, just stay tuned, comment, and subscribe.